Maximizers, hey, how you guys doing today? I wanted to come back to you with another marriage talk, and specifically regards to compromise. And I love having my beautiful wife on, and we've chatted about this a little bit in detail, and so wanted to share some of the things and advantages of compromising in a relationship. Don't think negative. Don't think negatively. I got hooked on phonics. Ebonics, hooked on Ebonics. Don't think about it with a negative mindset when we talk about compromise. It's actually a really good thing, and we're going to share some things about what we did to compromise our relationship that brought us closer together. And I'll start with this one. Thinking about family, we came together as a blended family. I had two boys, my wife had two girls, and we came together and had one child together. But even in that coming together, we were raised differently, and I was raised maybe the more stricter side, born in the South in Georgia, and had a military father who's also a pastor, and my mother was very conservative and loved them both, and they raised me and my brothers with a stern hand, and that's just what we knew growing up. I went to a school that it used to be okay to whoop you or spank you with a ruler and a paddle. That was how intense and old school that was. I probably didn't need it. Yeah. But that was my upbringing, and my wife can share hers and what we did to come together.
First of all, the first compromise is me being in front of this camera with him.
It's true. She is compromising, but it's
Not
for
a
the
bad
great.
thing.
It's a
It
greater
just makes me
benefit.
uncomfortable. So, I grew up in a house with an alcoholic dad, abusive dad, but we never got spankings because my dad, he got beat when he was a kid. His parents beat him. So he vowed that he would never spank us, and so I never got spankings. I never got spanked once. Neither did my brother.
And again, it's not bad if you don't spank. It's just what we know growing up, right? My wife and I are both people of faith, and we read this great book called the Bible. And part of that book talks about that if you spare the rod, you do spoil the child. And I think my parents raised on that. But we had to come together. You hear my wife not being spanked at all, and me being spanked, and thinking that that's the thing to do in relationships or with your family. And so seriously, we had to come together and talk about it, and a lot of times we had to talk about it intensely, and a lot of times
tears.
we had to talk about it.
Tears on his part.
Tears.
I'm
Yes.
just kidding. I was the one crying.
Behind closed doors. After I'm done, maybe spanking my child or spanking one of the girls, and my wife is like, I don't like that, or I'm like, well, she needs it, back and forth. But anyways, we worked through it, and I think working through it means understanding. And compromising is not like you're giving up part of yourself. It's that you're allowing the other person to really authentically hear who you are, and you're not like defensive. You just don't be defensive. You drop your ego, and you make a decision to come together with a promise. And you're just like, you know what? If we're in this thing called life together as a married couple, let's come together. Let's, it's not easy. It won't happen overnight, but I tell you, it's so worth it. Babe, why don't you share about, when we talk about maybe finances and different things like that?
We had talked about, I don't know, our finances have always been together from the time that we got married. We both just agreed on that. It wasn't like, okay, I've got my account, you've got your account. This is our family. And, like, okay, well, you pay half these bills, I'll pay half these. No, it just all went in the same pot because it's about us. It's not about me. It's not about you and what you want. I mean, you're married, you're
Right.
one.
Right.
And so that was definitely one thing that we never compromised on. We always just put our money together because we're a team. We're husband and wife. I have his name. I've got his children. So why separate that thing called money? We were just in church this morning talking about what was it, like where your money is, or where your
treasure is, there your heart
where
will.
your treasure is, there your heart is also. And I guess if you're trying to keep your money to yourself, And, is that the most important thing?
Right.
It's not. You can make more money. You can buy as much stuff as you want. It's not worth a relationship. It's not worth. It's not worth not compromising in that regard. Because I know that there was a time that Milton was not working a full-time job. He was pastoring, and I worked. And so, what am I going to do? Just keep all my money and sorry, you have bills to pay, and what are you going to do? No. There were many years that I didn't work that he did. And he never once said, oh, well, you can't buy that. That's my money. What sense does that make? We love each other.
Right.
You're mine and I'm yours. And
we're ours.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? We're ours. But it's not like, what's mine is hers and what's hers is hers.
Yeah.
You guys heard that before. But and I hope that you guys will have these, come to these concessions before you get married and have these discussions. But a lot of times you ask questions and there's things that come up in the course of marriage that you haven't touched on when you were dating before you got married, and you need to make a compromise in that moment. And
we still compromise all the time.
We do compromise. I start watching football a little bit more again, but on the weekends, but not really to the point I'm watching a whole game unless it's the USC Trojans. Go fight on Trojans. If I can sit there and watch a quarter of a football game and my wife not be really into it. Maybe she doesn't understand it or just disinterested, and I see that, and I don't want to exclude her. I'm going to include her, so I don't want to exclude her for what I'm doing. So I'll compromise and turn it off, or we'll go do something together.
But he does have the phone on, or the game on his phone. So, what was that?
Technical difficulty. I'll have it on to this. Okay, there's things I would do, but I do compromise. Come on now. I might turn off the big TV and put it on the little TV, but I'm with you. Or we'll do something totally different. But those compromises in everything, and I think understanding that you're not losing who you are authentically. You're bringing your best self to the relationship.
Here's me, here's him, and then you come together, you compromise, and you become stronger. You grow like this.
Right.
And I don't know. I think it's just about not letting little things separate you.
Right. Because they will.
They will.
It's like that little wave. Just like one little thing leads to another little thing, leads to another little thing. And then you're 10 years, 15, 20 years down in your relationship or marriage, and you're wondering why you're so far apart, because it's just a little degree of separation.
Because it was that one little thing
right.
in the very beginning
right.
that took you that 1 degree off in the wrong direction.
Right. And you never settled it in your relationship. You never had concessions or an agreement in a relationship that this is how we're going to do things, whether it's spending money, whether it's how much time you spend with yourself or with your friends, whether it's, what you eat or how, taking care of yourself.
I think
or
whatever decision that you make, I think that you're aware of how it affects me.
Yeah.
Just like Pastor was talking about today, how, Marcia called him and said, hey, are you okay with this? It's not about being, under somebody's thumb or anything like that. It's just about mutual respect
right.
and just loving each other.
And speaking of that really talks about that, because we're two individual people. In order to be two individuals come together as one, you only have one side of it, right? You're only a half and a half to make a whole. And you think you're the whole, but you're not the whole. You're like you and your spouse together make the whole. And so my wife may have a view of something that I don't have, or I may have a view of something that she doesn't have. And so we come together and we compromise and we bring our views together, and we then start to work. We make concessions. We agree. We make a stand on something together. It's not like, well, you do your thing and I'll do mine. So and I think that's totally important. And it's never too late, whether you've been together for 2 years or you're 52 years and you're still having challenges. You can still compromise and work on agreements and coming to a stand together. It's never too late. as long as the sun shines on your face and you're able to walk, move, and breathe, I think you still have the ability to live out that purpose as a marriage relationship, and find some compromise and ways to build yourselves up. So
do you remember in the beginning when we would compromise, and you just always listened to me, and whatever I said, okay, you would just do, because you weren't raised with confrontation,
right? Sharing my point of view. I think that was, I wasn't raised with sharing my point of view, even though I might have had a good one. I just didn't share it because I saw sharing my point of view as confrontation, and that was bad in relationships, or that was taboo in a relationship. And it's not about, it's like, and I always talk about this too, my peace is on the other side of that confrontation, and even in a compromise, it may feel like confrontation, but it's really, so you guys are seeking peace and wholeness in your relationship. And I think if you view it that way, is that compromise is a path towards peace. And if you can see it and do it and work through it, oh my goodness, it's a great feeling. Not only emotionally you're tied to your spouse, a loved one, but intimacy physically. There's a lot of things that happen that are good out of making some compromise and coming together as one. Yeah.
Good.
It's good.
It's good.
Good. Love you. God bless you guys. Share this if you have any questions, or if you have any questions, reach out to us. But also share this if you feel like someone else might need this as well, to help them in their lives. Love any feedback, and please continue to maximize the moments in your own life towards success. God bless you guys. Bye.